On this episode of The EN Show, meet Ivy Mutengi, a mom, wife, entrepreneur who is growing her brand as a makeup artist of note. She shares her story on one of the most shied away topics, domestic violence. Welcome to the EN Show, Ivy.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
First of all, I am awed that you actually said yes to this interview. I remember when we did a bit of research on your story, hearing about it already gave me so many chills. And I'm hoping that from this episode, we will have a lot more women and men who choose to leave very violent environments. I understand that you fell pregnant at the age of 20,
Yes.
got married, and tell me, how was that? So, first of all, it was, must have been quite scary to have fallen pregnant and be taken to a family you had no idea where you were going.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Yes. Like I said, I was 20 years old. I was young. I was in love. And I fell pregnant, and along the way, I had to go and stay with the people because that's the culture, Back then, you would definitely have to go. But it was my first time going to the family. I had to meet the mother, to meet the father. It was a whole different setup from how I had grown up. And unfortunately, it was something that just came out of the way because during the courtship with the person who got me pregnant, there was no signs or anything that it could be violent. So for me, even going to stay with him, I felt safe somehow. So the moment he started to be violent, it was one scary moment of my life because I was confused. I didn't know what was going on.
So you guys had been dating for how long before you fell pregnant?
I would say a year.
So a year, you're dating this guy. He never raised a hand at you. He never raised his voice at you.
Not even.
And then, so when you were now officially his wife,
Yes.
and you were in the house,
yes.
Tell me about the day that he first hit you.
Yeah. So it so happened that we were staying with the parents.
Right.
So like any normal couple, you have disagreements, you talk about things. And this other day, the mother heard us arguing about something. Then she said, "You can come here, guys, and take a seat." So whilst in the middle of the whole conversation, he just slapped me in front of the mother.
In front of his mother?
Yes.
And first of all, did you grow up uchiro wanana mewago?
I grew up in a very peaceful environment because my parents are pastors. And it was a peaceful place where people would come for comfort. My father would counsel people. So for me, I grew up in an environment where it was all safe. My parents would fight, not like have quarrels. You'd hear their quarreling in the bed, but never a physical moment had I seen them fighting. So it was new to me.
And so when he hit you, what went through your mind at that moment?
The honest truth is I was confused. I felt confused, and I actually blamed myself. Because for me, I felt like for me to deserve this, I think I should have done something really bad. Because especially in front of his mother, it shook me, and I just started crying. And the mother was not even shocked. That was the worst thing.
Okay.
For me, I wanted to hide with her.
Because you were thinking she's going to console you.
Yes.
And say, Mwanangu, come, let me, or you stop this or reprimand her.
That was
her
what
son.
I was expecting, but it didn't come out that way.
Do you think that probably was an indication of her own experience maybe at some stage?
Yes.
Where she was coming from an environment that was similar to yours that you were about to enter?
Yeah, that's when I then later discovered that it was the same scenario, because someone told me, who I shared the experience, and said, this is the normal for the family. The mother sometimes screams even during the night, in the middle of the night. And then I discovered that, oh, this is a normal thing. And the other day, she just practically said, because sometimes when he would beat me, I would then cover the marks, the underbags, the what, with makeup. Then she would say, you put makeup after. I would sleep outside after being beaten by the father. So to her, it was something like, you're not even getting to the point of where I went through with everything. So I didn't have any way to hide.
So let's go back a bit and let's try and put some context around this, Ivy.
Yeah.
You're a 20-something-year-old, and your first incident of violence is when he's with his mom. And then subsequent to that, what were the triggers that would trigger his violence with you? Was it something that you could pinpoint? Was it something that you would have said? What is it, something that you would have done? In retrospect, what is it that then triggered him to respond in a violent manner towards you?
I would say I couldn't pinpoint, because I got to a point where even if I want to ask something, even if I want to talk about something that's troubling me, I would spend days trying to think of a way to talk to him, because each time I try this angle, it will always go sour. Each time I try this angle, it will always get sour. So I would feel sometimes he was a person who would build up. And the moment you sometimes try to confront issues, he would just then burst.
Okay.
And take it all on you. Yeah.
Did you ever reach a moment where you said to yourself, this is probably my lowest moment? This is where you started even questioning your own self and your own sanity, to say, why are you in this relationship and how can you get out? What was the lowest point of your marriage?
Yeah, it was because remember, I was pregnant. I started staying with him when I was pregnant. Remember, about 6 months pregnant, I said, in this whole incident, I was pregnant when he started beating me up. And then there's a time when I had to leave their homestead, because one of our relatives suggested that I come to their house to stay whilst I was waiting to give birth. So I was starting to lose weight. I was 8 months pregnant. I was starting to lose weight. Even the nurses were even now worried, because I was now depressed. I didn't know what to do. My lowest was I didn't have anyone to talk to. I couldn't go back home. Remember that tizira. So in the African culture, you can't go back home before the kwasha come and pay whatever they're supposed to pay.
And your parents had no idea that this was happening?
No, they didn't have. I was blaming myself because I had fallen pregnant. It was a taboo in the family. So now going back to them and telling them other problems on top of this problem, I just felt like I just needed to keep quiet and just keep this in a box and just close up. So the fact that I didn't have anyone to talk to, in this family, they were just them, the mother, the father, and the child. There was no Bamkuru, there was no Teddy, there was no what. So it was just us. So for me, it was my lowest, because every time something like that would happen, I would just close myself in a room, cry the whole day, get up, and just continue being a Morora.
You know, Ivy, for me, I just can't even understand what that looks like, because you're 8 months pregnant and the last thing that you're expecting is someone to be violent with you.
Yeah.
So that would mean throughout your whole pregnancy, you're experiencing that level of violence. And then so maybe tell me about the day that you were about to give birth. What happened?
Yeah. So the day when I gave birth to my son, I remember I was now staying with my auntie, and he had come over, because he would now follow me there, then sometimes go back to his parents, then come back to me. So I remember it was during the day, he just started asking questions like, why do you get in your Bamkuru's bedroom? To me, it was just a minute. Then I said, I was cleaning the bedroom. No, you can't do that. Your aunt is not here, because my aunt was in South Africa. You're having an affair with your Bamkuru. I was like, what? So I picked that you would want to start a fight. So sometimes I would walk away. So what I did, I just said, let me take a bath.
Before you go any further, Ivy, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, I would really want to understand how someone can beat an eight-month, pregnant woman. It's very hard for me to understand what that looked like. You're watching The Ian Show. We'll be right back.
I dance for a living, not an orthodox career. My name is Sean Mambere. I'm an award-winning dance choreographer. Well, I've built a brand from dancing and I earn money too. The internet has made my life easy and so much fun. Well, for starters, I get to interact with existing and potential clients who attend my dance classes. I have the opportunity to showcase my work to a large group of people at the same time. Who wouldn't want that for their business? Dancing is my life, and I need something that helps me grow and network with people in my field of work. I have won numerous awards from the work that I do, and I'm proud of myself. If it wasn't for the internet, I highly doubt anyone would know me. The broadband has helped me learn, grow, and enjoy what I do. I'm living in the moment. Are you?
Pound 5.
Welcome back to The Ian Show. And today I'm with Ivy, and we're talking about domestic violence. Ivy, you were sharing about you being 8 months pregnant and staying with relatives, and an incident happened. Share what that looks like. What happened?
Okay, so like I mentioned, I was now staying with my auntie and I had left his parents' place. And I was at my family now. So I felt safe somehow. That maybe because we're at my family side, you will no longer do anything to me. So I remember this other day, he started asking me questions about why are you doing this in your Bamkuru's bedroom? And I said, it was just cleaning. So I could feel that he wanted to get agitated now.
Do you think it was insecurities in?
Yes.
It was his own insecurities.
It was his own securities. And I then said, let me just go and bath, just to leave this person. So the moment I got in the bathroom, I reached my clothes. I didn't know that he then went outside and take guava. Yes. And he came back. The next thing, I was on the ground in the bathroom, naked. I was 9 months pregnant. Started beating me up.
With this switch?
Yes. Everywhere, part of my body, I was just screaming there. Then my nieces and one of the neighbors, they came rushing. They opened the door. They took him outside. He was just shouting and what. And I was just crying. And the next thing, I was in labor. And then they called an ambulance and we had to go to the clinic. And I had to lie to the nurses because they were asking a lot of questions.
Because you had all these marks on your body.
Yes. I just had to lie that I fell, what. So I gave birth and it was just God because my baby was so big. It was 4 kgs. I was very tiny. I gave a normal birth. And the nurses were actually very, very surprised. But then, you know how after you give birth, that moment of happiness, you kind of then forget about everything that happened because he was there, he was just signing documents and what. And this whole scenario that happened is just vanished.
But at any given time, did you feel like it was now worth you talking to your parents and reaching out for them? Because I cannot imagine as a mom what I would feel to see my daughter on a bathroom floor and not being able to forgive her for that. So after that, what was the point where you spoke to your parents and said to them, this is my situation? Because how are you living?
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't even tell them. But fortunately enough, one of the neighbors then told my auntie when she came back that, do you know that your daughter is being beaten up by the husband? Then she came to me and asked me, then I said, yes. And how long has this been going on? Ever since I started staying with him. And why were you not talking about it? All I could do was just cry because I literally didn't have a reason. Because to me, maybe I just focused, now it's normal. This is my life. Maybe that's what happens in a marriage. Maybe I was young. So maybe I just literally thought to myself, this is what happens in a marriage. And then if I didn't start to tell my parents, what if they told you, that's the life you chose. You're the one who got pregnant. You're the one who decided to get married. Stay with it. I didn't want any other heartbreaks. So I just decided to shut away and just keep quiet.
So what triggered you leaving? Because for me, first of all, after all of that, then fast forward how many years? How
Yeah, I
long
would
were you?
say I stayed with him for 2 years.
For 2 years.
Yes. The second year, remember, now we had a baby.
Okay.
In the house.
So what triggered you leaving? Because there are people out there who are still in those relationships.
Seeing my child crying, you would start beating me even in front of the child. We have an argument in the bedroom. You didn't even care. And the moment when you looked at my baby crying, he couldn't speak. Remember, he's young, but he could see that this is something not good happening here. And after I'm being beaten up, I then go and grab my child, we would cry together. All those emotions were just too much for me. I just felt like I was letting my son down. And I just decided that I think this is enough. I think I need to just give my son a break. He deserved better. He deserved to be loved. And I then decided that I was leaving. I didn't run away. I didn't do anything. I just told them I'm leaving.
But in our research, you were also telling me that it was just not from your husband in terms of the level of abusiveness. It was also from the family. You were talking about an incident where your father-in-law poured water over you.
Yeah.
What happened then?
I remember it was we didn't go to church, and he came back from church because we had an argument again with the son, and I just said, no, I'm not going to church. It was in the evening. So I just went into my bedroom, and when I was about to sleep, reviewing my clothes, I was even wearing my ties and the bra. I heard the father coming and said, why didn't you come to church? My head so I didn't know he was actually taking a bucket full of water into the bathroom, and he just came in cold water, saying he was baptizing me. 20 liters of water on the bed. Manaripo, I was there. We actually practically had to remove all the blankets, put them outside, slept on the floor. It was just a lot of things. I didn't even have anyone to run to. The father was abusive. The mother would sometimes then shout at me. If the child goes outside of the house after an argument with me, you would go for hours. Then the mother would start to say, if he doesn't come back, I'll kill you. So, but I got to a point now where I was now okay, and I would just literally become this one person, and I would talk back to you. And I'm not your child.
So you started fighting back?
Yes, I started fighting back. I started to be defensive, but I was really broken. I was now starting to lose self-esteem. I didn't want to be around people. And everyone around us, the community, knew what I was going through. So every time when I'll visit a friend or someone at the next door, that's the topic they'll want to talk. What is going on at your house? And sometimes I wouldn't want to talk about it. So it literally then kept me on my own life. I would just be my own self.
And you start only just relying on yourself.
Yes.
And enclose yourself.
Yes.
From friends.
Yes.
And family.
And back then there were no phones. I didn't have a phone. There were phones, but not literally how a 5-year-old knows a phone. I didn't have a phone. I was not working. He was not working. We were staying with the parents. So I would rely on my next door mother. There was another woman who was staying here. So I would go there and just, can I call my mom? So there was a time now I would call my mom. I got to a point when now every time he beats me up, I would call my mom. Today, Auntie Rova. Then she said, so
we're going to take a break, Ivy. And when we come back, we're going to talk about how society plays a very big role in domestic violence. And thank God for this neighbor that reached out to your parents. This is EN. We'll be right back.
My name is Tanaye, and I am a freelance writer, blogger, and a social media content creator who's slowly moving into video creation for YouTube. I've been writing for the past 3 years, and to be honest, I've enjoyed the experience. I enjoy it because I get to work from home. I get to work from awesome cafes around town. I get to work from parks, wherever I really feel the inspiration can come from. Broadband has helped me because it has made my life a lot easier, because I get to interact with a lot of cool and awesome people that inspire my work. I'm living in the moment. Are you?
Pan 5.
Welcome back to Ian. Ivy, so after that harrowing experience, I just want you to briefly tell me when that moment was when you said, I'm not dealing with this anymore, and you actually left. And where are you now in your life?
So it got to a point where I decided that I think I needed to find something to do. I had found a job, and I had shared with him that I found a job, and the day when it came that I was supposed to start the job, he then took the opportunity to just start a fight with me. And he beat me to my pulp. Ever since he started beating me, I literally had bumps all over my body. It was just his way of just telling me that you're not going anywhere. And I remember I stayed home for 2 full days, just closed up in my bedroom. I couldn't go out, couldn't do anything. And then I lost the job. Then I decided that this is it. I literally sat down with the family. I said, I'm going to work. I said, you're not going. Your husband doesn't want. Then I said, I'm going to work. Then they said, if you want to go, you're going to take all your things and the baby, and if that's good. Then I said, thank you so much. So that's when I left and never returned there. And they never followed.
And you took it as an opportunity to say, I'm leaving.
I'm leaving. Yes, they given me an ultimatum and they just thought I would not take it. I just said, I'm leaving. I had already decided that I was going. I had had enough, and I wanted to take my life back.
Wow.
I wanted to take my life back and to give my life, my baby, the love in a safe environment where I feel he'll be safe. So when I left, I never looked back. And fortunately enough, my parents took me in. They welcomed me with both hands, and I started to regain my life, started working, but it was not easy.
Were you ever resentful to your parents or to even those who were close around you to say, why did you not fight for me? Because I think many of us who, I think it's safe to say everyone has seen domestic violence happen. And the question is that I've even asked myself, why have I not done something? It's not an easy question to answer, but did you ever feel like to your sisters, to your parents, why didn't you fight for me? Where were you when I was being violently abused?
Yeah, for me then, I think I did understood now as I'm growing into it, that sometimes if you are not in the situation, if you've never experienced it, if you've never seen someone experience it, you would understand when someone tells you that they are being abused, they are being in a violent relationship or what. And because you know what, and why it's difficult for someone to come out and tell you, it's because of the answers you get from the society. Now, even talking to someone out there, if you see someone telling you that they are being abused or what, don't ask, wanga waita say, wanga wamita say.
Yeah.
That's the last question they need to hear. Because the moment you ask them, you're actually blaming them.
Yes.
That maybe you deserved what happened to you. So that's why people shy away and just keep quiet in their own boxes. And some unfortunate events are like, the abusers, what they do when they're outside there, they are these coolest people you can ever find.
Wow.
Suppose he's the breadwinner of the family. He's taking care of all your sisters who are at university. And then you go and tell your mom that, I want to leave him. He's beating me up. What do you think your parents will say?
She don't say,
Yes.
Why?
Why? Because they've never seen you being beaten. They just see this Mukwasha coming, dropping up Marie, buying groceries and what. But someone out there, when they are crying for help, they mean it.
Did you ever think that this guy is going to kill me one day?
Yes. There's even a point where he just like hold me on my throat that I couldn't even breathe this other day on the bed. And, you know, the moment when he removed his hand, you could actually think that I was dying. Literally, I was dying here. And that's the unfortunate part why I always tell people that you have to leave. I was fortunate enough that I left when I was still alive. Some people, they live in coffins.
So true.
They
It's
live
so
in
true.
coffins.
But I think leaving is not an easy thing. And I think as society, we are so judgmental to say, but we're going to go pick a big rako and just to go. And it's not that easy because there's a lot that's riding on it, especially if women or men, because I also see a rise of men being abused as well in households.
It's also difficult for men literally to speak out
Who
because
do you
the
tell?
society doesn't expect a man to be beaten.
Yes.
So they don't even say it. That's why there's high rise of men committing suicide because they don't literally have anyone to talk to.
Yeah.
But it's happening out there. And when someone comes to you and they talk, or if you know someone, find a way to help them. There are a lot of organizations like Musasa.
Yeah.
You can even go to any police station there is victim. If you go to a police station, they have a way of you sharing your story where you feel safe.
Yeah.
And you talk and they'll find the appropriate shelters for you to go.
Victim support services are definitely offered by police stations. And I think that is something that, is so, important for people to understand. Masasa Projects is probably one of the biggest and oldest and longest standing organizations that have, committed themselves to this.
Because a lot of people, they don't know where to go when they want to leave.
Which is very important for us to understand. If anyone who is watching this show, it's important for them to understand that they're not alone. That number two, if they don't take the first step out, it's very hard for someone to come in and take them out.
Yes. I've seen a lot of people who have come to me after I've shared my story like this. They tell me their story. Then I say, why are you not leaving? They have a lot of reasons. And I can only do so much to those people to assist them to leave. Yeah. It's not easy. Some have different reasons. Sometimes it's about, if I leave, he threatened me. You will not go with anything. Even the kids. So like, I've taken upon myself, like, I want to start an organization called Yana, which means you are not alone, where I'll be like a central person, where you can come and share your story to me. And I'll find the appropriate person, because some cases will require a lawyer, some cases will require a police officer, some cases will require a counselor. So those people sometimes don't even know where to go. So I want to be that central person. When you come, then I say this, then I want like people who are able to volunteer as lawyers, as counselors to
and volunteer their services.
Yes.
Because you're always scared, can I afford the lawyer?
Yes.
You know what, Ivy, unfortunately, our time is almost up on this episode, but I just want to tell you that you're an amazing individual. And just the fact that you're sharing your story with millions of Zimbabweans across this country is in itself probably, I'm hoping that it's a part of your healing. And I'm hoping that it's a part of you actually reaching out there and touching someone, because I know you're very active in your community to also get a lot of women out of these very dangerous situations.
Yes.
And so from, us at EN, we just really want to thank you for sharing your story. And I know that people can get a hold of you. They can just inbox us on our platforms, on our EN show platforms, and we will hopefully share your contacts for them to get that support. So it's been a pleasure to have you on the show, my dear.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure too.
Yeah. And so for everyone who is watching this show, we want to encourage you that if you know someone who is struggling or someone who needs your help, the woman that helped Ivy, if it wasn't for her, Ivy may have still been in that relationship. We may have been talking about a life that was lost. So let's not keep quiet as a community. Let's not keep quiet as members of a bigger family. We are responsible for each other. And we hope that someone out there will get some help. This is EN, sending love and light your way.
I dance for a living, not an orthodox career. My name is Sean Mambugere. I'm an award-winning dance choreographer. Well, I've built a brand from dancing and I earn money too. The internet has made my life easy and so much fun. Well, for starters, I get to interact with existing and potential clients who attend my dance classes. I have the opportunity to showcase my work to a large group of people at the same time. Who wouldn't want that for their business? Dancing is my life, and I need something that helps me grow and network with people in my field of work. I have won numerous awards from the work that I do, and I'm proud of myself. If it wasn't for the internet, I highly doubt anyone would know me. The broadband has helped me learn, grow, and enjoy what I do. I'm living in the moment. Are you?
Pan 5.
This is EN Extra, only available on our social media platforms. So, Ivy, I just want you to help someone out there. If you were to give maybe just a handful of tips to someone who is struggling, what would your advice be to that person?
Okay, I'll start by, if you have children, like what had happened to me, staying in an abusive marriage or relationship, it's like those people will say,
Yeah.
you're not helping them. You're actually creating monsters. You are showing your son or your daughter that this is what should happen in a marriage. So when they get to a situation where they are in the same situation as you, they don't know the boundaries of where to live. So you're the one who's supposed to lead and say to the children, I think this is the time when you need to move. We were going to live and you're going to show them there's life even after.
You need to break the cycle.
Yes, you need to break the cycle. You as a parent, if especially a mother or a father, creating those children in that environment would then make them feel like it's a normal way to live. Even when they live, they have their families. So it's up to us as parents. If you're in that environment, you need to break it. And talking to myself as a woman, one thing also maybe that gave me the courage to, I'm a very, very strong person. And I told myself, if I'm going to live here, I'm going to start something of my own and take care of my child. So as women out there, sometimes we end up being in those situations for longer because we are dependent on the abuser.
So there's no financial independence. And I think that's the scariest thing for any woman animana. Because
yes. And you keep on, he will be telling you that, they will tell you that if you live here, you won't even make it out there. They'll keep installing it in you that, and you actually start to believe it.
Right.
So, but there are organizations there, like Musasa, the one we mentioned, you can go there. There was this lady that came into my inbox and I started scrutinizing around. And you know what happened? We even got a job for her. And after we got a job for her, she then had to leave. It was a gradual thing.
Are you never scared about a guy coming after you?
No, I'm
because
not.
You're helping his wife to leave Mumbai. Because, and another thing, because it takes me to my second point, to say maybe some people keep quiet because then that person will say, you know what, because there's also that cycle of, he's forgiving, he's bought me a car, he's bought me roses, he's bought me whatever, and we're okay. And the lady or the victim is accepting of this person.
I've had cases like that. So I know where to draw the line.
Exactly.
And what I do, I like I told you, I'm like the middle person.
Okay.
So you come to me, you tell me, I will really think this case, I think it needs a policeman.
Okay.
Or you're telling me that every night is beating you, even putting out knives and guns and what? I literally can't come to your house and stand in front of your husband and what, or even tell you to even come and take you. It needs to happen gradually.
Okay.
So I have people that I have identified where I go and talk that I've got a client of mine, I think she needs counseling. So some of them, they will need someone just to talk to. So when they talk to someone, they will know where to direct them according to their situation.
Because every situation is unique.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't just literally say, because I just had to leave. I didn't have anything to lose. I took my child and what. Some will be threatened that you are not going with your children.
Wow.
So that definitely needs a lawyer.
Wow.
right. So I would know the right people to direct according to the case.
But you're now remarried, Ivy,
Yes.
with other children.
Yes.
Happily so?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I want to tell someone out there who's going through that. There's life after that. A lot of people are scared that how will I start my life? There are good men out there.
They are.
Who can actually take care of you, heal the wound, and start a life again like what I'm doing. I'm now a business owner. I now have my children, and my son is happy. He's not a boarding school. And when I look at him, I thank God that at least I gave him a chance to be loved out there and to see that you can actually live a normal life. And that's what's important for me right now.
I think that's the biggest message out there, is to say that your present does not determine your future.
Yes.
And you have an opportunity to actually determine it yourself by the choices that we make.
Yes.
And so you're an entrepreneur.
Yes, I am.
Well done.
Yeah, I'm a beauty specialist. I own a beauty bar called Makanaka Makeover Bar, which I named after my daughter. And it's doing so well. I'm mentoring girls and I'm seeing a bright future.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ivy, for joining us on the EN show.
No, thank you so
Especially
much.
EN Extra, where you get all that juicy bits that we missed out on the core episode.
Yes.
But if you're watching this, thank you for joining us, and reach out to us. You're not alone, and it's not your fault. And there's a bigger conversation to be had.
Yes.
This is EN Extra, ladies and gentlemen, sending love and light our way.